If you're watching this, then this is part two of my 2021 reading agenda. I had to break this up because it got a little bit long. I just decided to talk about every book that I wanted to read. So check out the first book. Check out the first video, first section, and then come back to this one or do what you want. Next category, the extras. These are the secondary B ones, and these are ones that I want to get to, but we'll see if I can. I don't really own these. This is also why I put them in the B category. Well, I don't own all of them at least. But for these, starting with a heavy hitter as well, is Chronicles of the Black Company, finishing the Queen's Thief series, either Jurassic Park and or more Michael Crichton books, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, and the Foundation trilogy or the Foundation series by Isaac Asimov. So starting with Chronicles of the Black Company, this one is almost on my priority list. I really want to get to this series. Really, it sounds really awesome, and I also don't hear a whole lot of people talking about it. They get, everybody likes to talk about all of Brandon Sanderson's works, and then First Law, and some of Mark Lawrence's things, and even like the Real Time and whatnot. But there's not a lot of hype with the Black Chronicles of the Black Company, at least on book two, from what I've seen. And it sounds really cool. And it's actually one of like, I don't know how long ago it was since when I first bought my first Kindle, 7 or 8 years. Chronicles of the Black Company was actually one of the first books I added on there on my wish list. And I had to re-add it just because my wish list has gotten so long, so I have to scroll all the way down to the bottom to check the price. So that one I really want to get to, but I also want to make sure when I'm get to it that I'm ready for it, and I have some other these series cleared out. That's why it's a little bit down on the extra. So it might be a fall, like I might shoot for the fall if I get to that, so that I can lead into next year. Finishing the Queen's Thief. This was a really, really awesome series that I blew through the first three books. Fantastic, fast reads, really cool plots. They have some great Ocean's 11 type twists at the end to where you're just like, what the hell just happened? It's really, they're really, really good. And the reason why I've owned the first five forever. And I stopped after the third one because I knew the sixth and final book wasn't coming out for a long time. It just came out recently. I kind of want to wait for it to be in paperback because I own all of them in paperback, but for some reason it only released in hardback. It's also a different color than the rest of them. I don't know what the thinking behind any of that was. So if I can fit those in, they could be easily a palate cleanser to just, okay, I'll read book four and then I'll read book five. And then, if I can pick up book six throughout the sometime later in the year, that's cool too. I just need to make sure it's on paperback. I don't always care about my books matching and anything like that, but I think this is a series that I want to keep. I unhaul books regularly whenever I'm done with them, but I think this is one I might actually want to hang on to, and I'd like to be in paperback. Jurassic Park, Michael Crichton books. I have own a couple of Michael Crichton books. I've only read one, and that's The Great Train Robbery. That was actually turned out to be really good. When I first started reading it, I was a little bit worried, but it turned out to be really good. I like that one. I like those heist type books, and I want to get more into Michael Crichton books. And Jurassic Park obviously should be toward the top of that list. I believe I own Prey, and maybe I might have picked up one other when we were in a secondhand bookstore. I'm not 100% sure, but he's definitely one that I want to get to, and that would be an easy one to just throw in anyway. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. This is one that will not be easy to throw in because if you don't know, let's just. All right. This guy is huge. This is about as thick as Stephen King. It's only 900 pages, even though it just looks a lot thicker. It's huge, and I've heard it's slow at times, but I do like the um, London English type murder mystery setting. I heard it's like a magical realism. It is big. It's going to be one that once again could bump The Stand down because I want to read some of these big books. I just can't read them all back to back to back. I think I'm gonna have to space them out like every other month or something like that if I do it, or once a quarter. So it's going to go up based off of mood. I will still try and prioritize The Stand, but you never know. I could throw that in there as a wild card. It's in the extras. That's why it's there. Last on the extras on this category would be the Foundation trilogy. Isaac Asimov. This is one that I've kind of had my eye on for a little while now. I think that's Foundation is a good place to start. I've heard definitely some good things, especially I want to get more into sci-fi and a lot of the more classic sci-fi, the older sci-fi is also what I really want to get into, even though some of them haven't all really clicked with me. I still want to give them a good try. And I've just heard really cool things. And just the premise of the Foundation sounds really, really cool. And I own four of his books. Yeah, just looking down. I don't feel like grabbing those. So I own four of his books. I already have them. They seem like they could be an easy just to throw in as well, which is why it's on the wild card and extras or on the extras category because and being sci-fi, there's not a lot of sci-fi up in the top category. So those are going to be um, mood based. I think mostly the sci-fi's. All right. Now for the wild card palette cleansers. These are going to be these are the wild cards of the year where they're not up there on the list, but I could reach a point where I just need to throw something in, and this is what's tickling my fancy. I don't own any of these books, not technically, I guess. So for the top of the wild cards are let's go through. It's going to be the Bobbyverse. So starting with We Are Bob, the Culture Series, Discworld, Man in the High Castle, Shadow of the Gods, Neuromancer, and either Elantris or Warbreaker. Now, the Bobbyverse is definitely up there on my list. I believe the first one or the first and or second one is on Kindle Unlimited. So if and when I should have put this in, I thought about putting this in my unlimited category, but I wanted it up here. I might throw this in then. And once again, as a sci-fi, it might be an easy palate cleanser, and I've heard they're just really easy to get through. So that's what this one could end up being, especially if I have unlimited access. The Culture series, been hearing really cool things about it, and because of what the premise is, if I remember correctly, it reminds me of Scythe, which the Arc of the Scythe, which I really really liked. And don't curse me for comparing them. I'm just saying that the initial premise of what I heard sounds really cool. And on Media Death Cult's channel, he talks about and hypes them up a lot. His community really likes them, so I really want to get into them. I own the very first one, so it'll be one of those things where we'll see what I'm feeling if I want to throw that in there and actually start it, because I don't like to have too many unfinished series going on at once, but some of the longer ones I can take a little bit of a leeway because they tend to be able to be okay to spread out a little bit. I might not need refreshers each time or to remember all that's going on. It won't be as hard. Discworld. This is a huge one, which I gotta decide where I need to start first. I own The Color of Magic, and I've heard that you either start from there or on Mort or on Guards. I'm going back and forth whether I want to do it in publication order or group order, like Guards go through all the those ones or all of the Death series or whatever. I need to figure that out first. Maybe since I already own Color of Magic, maybe since I already own that, I might just start there, but we'll see. I'll do more research into that. But once I figure out where the heck I'm going to start, might depend on or might affect when I actually read it. Man in the High Castle. I think this is going to happen in maybe March. I think I'm going to coincide this when Media Death Cult's community read along is. I think they're doing this in March, so that's why it's down there. I'll try and fit it in. It's it's down in the wild cards, even though I'm kind of planning it because it could just get bumped. I also don't own it yet, but that's easy enough. I think it's fairly cheap on Kindle anyway. Next, Shadow of the Gods. This one, the only reason why it's down here in wild card, so it comes out in May. This is John Gwynn's new book, new series, and I absolutely love John Gwynn. I read all of his books so far. I pre-ordered this one as soon as you could, so way before the cover reveal even happened. If there's a opportunity to get like a signed copy or something like that, I probably will, just because I'm becoming a huge John Gwynn fan. The reason why it's in wild cards is because I don't care who you are. I don't like starting series before they're finished. And I do have faith in John Gwynn that he's already knocking out the second book now, and it's probably going to be through publication and maybe even out next year. I and I think looking at the Banished Lands, all of those books, I think they all came out about a year or two away from each other. So I shouldn't need to wait 3 to 5 years between books. I have no idea how long this series is going to be, but I still just don't like to wait. I don't like to uh, wait on series and then have to catch up and remember what the heck is going on before. I absolutely never reread books either, so that's not going to happen. So we'll see what happens with this. I think if it happens this year, it's going to be later in the year, if and when there is a release date for book two. And that's the main reason why, is because I want to be able to actually have my sights set on book two before I jump into it. Because if I get 2 books in, then I think that's okay to start to wait a little bit, but ideally not. So if this happens this year, probably toward the end of the year, unless it's just like really really hyped. Who knows? Neuromancer, another sci-fi throw-in that I might do. It's been sounding really cool. It's been recently hyped a good bit. I have been playing the game Cyberpunk 2077 and have really liked it. So I think a Cyberpunk book might be really cool, especially because I haven't read anything like it, and it'll be another sci-fi throw-in. And then lastly, Elantris, a Warbreaker. I haven't read either of these standalones for Brandon Sanderson's. I've been trying to keep my eye on those books to see if they ever go on sale. I know they're only like $9 on Kindle, but I'm a bargain book buyer. So if I'm not planning on reading it immediately, then I'll just wait for them to go on sale, and I just collect books that way. But if it gets to a certain point where I really want to read one of these and it just comes down to it, I'll buy one, and that's fine. That's okay. So we'll see which one ever one I want to get to. I know Warbreaker is much more broadly liked and Elantris isn't, but I got to say, the premise of Elantris sounds really cool. So it's kind of a toss up for whichever one I decide to get to. All right, unlimited books. So for Kindle Unlimited, I do like to get these at least once a year for about 2 to 3 months. There's usually really great deals on them. I said these in my past videos. Bargain book buyer. If I can get them cheap, or Kindle Unlimited is just unlimited for that time. And sometimes you can get it for either $1 or 30 days for free. One of those things. The Cradle series, I've heard really good things about, by Will Wright, something like that. So the Cradle series, and somebody else on Mike's Book Reviews Discord is through 4 books of them. A couple people that have read them really like them. They are very highly rated as well. So those I might get through, and all of them are on unlimited. So that's 5 or 6 books that you can just go through, and that's a great bargain there, especially if they're really good books. DK Holmberg. Now, this guy I started reading last year when I got Kindle Unlimited, 3 or 4 of his books. If you want some get unlimited and want a lot of fantasy to read and a huge worlds and several series, then check out this guy. He has, I think, 3 or 4 different fantasy universes. Each universe has at least 4 or 5 different series within the universe, and he cranks out 1 or 2 books a year. It is ridiculous. They are all on Kindle Unlimited. I started with his very first series, the first 3 or 4 books of that, and it is a bit more YA. And because he's very new, those were his very first books. Might have been a bit, I guess, clunky is a word you could say, but they were still good. The premise was still cool. So I really want to get to some of his, especially some of the more adult ones, maybe in the same universe. I didn't get through that whole series of the one that I was reading, so I want to jump to something else, maybe a little bit more adult. But I really want to get to some of his because I want to give him a good shot, and he's got so many books to read that you can just read him for a while. Kings of Paradise, that is also on Kindle Unlimited. So Mike from Mike's Book Reviews did a review on it and absolutely loved it. I'm not sure if book 2 will be on Kindle Unlimited, but at least Kings of Paradise is. So if you just want to get into that one and try it out, then you can. And it's really, really good. Then I talked about Never Die last year on my low key reads from last year. Book 2 is going to come out, Pawn's Gambit. That should be on Kindle Unlimited as well. That is book 2 in the Mortal Techniques. Now it's not like a series with the same characters where there's going to be a linear plot. They're going through the same thing. New characters, same universe. Sounds really cool. The first I've heard of it, the people that have read it have really, really liked it. I believe Petrick is going to release a review of it soon. I think he got it early. and he really liked it, and how it was described sounds really awesome. So that is definitely going to happen as a throw between. I might even speed up my Kindle Unlimited starting this year just for that book because I really want to get to it early on and a jump start on anybody else. Lastly, these are going to be my Audible books, audiobooks for the year. Now, with audiobooks, I only consume about 15 to 18 or so of my books that I consume each year. And as of right now, I pretty much just I have three different series that I do on Kindle Unlimited and they are on Audible, and everything else I do is nonfiction. So the website I work for, we do podcasts, and on the podcast we review a nonfiction every month, one book, one nonfiction a month. So I do those once a month. They usually go fairly quickly. They're only about a lot of those are only about 10 hours long, so fairly quickly, and I accelerate the speed, so I blow through them. But the other ones that I'm going to do, and these are going to depend on, once again, completely on mood because all three of these are completely different. And that is Dresden, The Expanse, and the Saxon series, The Last Kingdom. So those three I'm going through. I didn't listen to any of The Expanse last year because I had already been on through the first six books and I wanted to get to Dresden. So this past year, I went through the first six books of Dresden and the first two in the Saxon saga, Saxon series, Saxon saga. So now I have all three of those going on right now, and it's just going to depend on which one I feel like doing, whether I want a sci-fi, whether I want Dresden, the urban witty fantasy, or the Last Kingdom, just to get some Viking pillaging. So those are going to be thrown in there as I see fit. I don't like to jump between a whole lot of standalones and random Audible books. I have done that in the past, um, this past year, the past 2 years, and the narrator is sometimes can kill books 100%. So jumping between new books and new series, you if you don't like the narrator for that series that you're jumping into, then they're just going to kill it for you. I tried and DNF'd the Lightbringer series book one twice because I just couldn't click with the narrator. So, and I know some people really love the narrator for that one, but either way, I know these three series. I know their narrators. They're really, really good. And I have so many books left in these series that it's going to be fine, especially with the nonfiction that I throw in there. All right. And to just cap off this entire, my blueprint, my outline, the plan, whatever you want to call it for the year, not goal, just this is kind of what I'm thinking. This is my tier list of what I want to get through the year. And nowhere on this list are a lot of the mysteries and thrillers that I want to get to. Those mostly I read I physical copies of them. I have a whole lot of books on physical that I just didn't want to put on there. Mostly I just, if I'm feeling a standalone mystery thriller or something, I just go to my bookshelf, see what I got, and then grab it. So this doesn't even include all of the standalones or mystery thrillers that I want to get through this year or anything else that I might throw in. As I said, I'm getting probably going to read Mr. Mercedes after I'm done my Rhaenyra book right now, which I guess it's not in there either. I will finish the Rhaenyra Revelations. I'm halfway through book two. That is the Binding two, not the book two, like in Theft of Swords. Anyway, so that's my plan for this year. Do you have a reading agenda? How do you break your year down? Are you doing it month by month? Are you doing it quarterly? Do you just have, hey, I want to get this series in, whatever? How lax to anal are you with your planning for the year? Let me know, and well, see you later.